It sounds controversial, but it's supposed to be comical. The theatrical play, it's called The Black Jew Dialogues. It's all about its name, and it involves two actors who explore that, what they call the absurdity of prejudice. Photojournalist Ken Toohey was in the audience tonight.
There we go. There we go. All right.
Nice. A Jewfro. I have one. Yeah.
No, an afro.
Afro,
Jewfro. In your case, a napfro.
Well, whatever. We've been doing this since March 2006. I had this title, The Black Jew Dialogues. And I knew Ron as an improv artist and an actor, and he was black, and I needed a black guy. And I knew it was a two-man kind of dialogue show.
You are so bad.
The matzo balls are the round ones, okay?
Larry just came to me one day and said, let's write a show. I went, okay. Had nothing better to do.
And we started to write.
We drove 100 miles west of Boston, and we got a hotel room, and we wrote for 3 days.
And that's where we wrote the show. We locked ourselves into this hotel. Jews have Judar.
If what?
Judar. We could pick out another Jew just as easily as you could pick out a black guy.
It's important to push the issues. I think one of the great things about doing comedy is that it gives you the opportunity to find parody and find satire in things that might be too difficult, too complex to try and go at head on.
You get to have your birthday party in your church, and they pay you?
These are not easy topics. They're not comfortable topics. If they were, we wouldn't have to deal with them the way we do.
No, hey, this isn't a joke, Ronnie. It's not. This is the Torah. It's the Word of God.
As an artist, we just lay out what we see, and what we feel. And if it crosses somebody's line, we really can't control that too much.
All right, so one of the stars of the Black Jew Dialogues joins me right now. His name is Ron Jones. Ron, thank you so much for taking the time out after that performance tonight. And here's what's interesting to me. I don't get the whole conflict with blacks and Jews. I think that we have more in common. I feel a sort of a kinship to Jewish people because of the struggles. I feel we have more in common than we do that's different. So I don't get it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm the same way, Don. I really feel the same way. And here's the thing. I think for a lot of folks, the commonality that blacks and Jews share is lost on them. Mm-hmm. And so one of the great things about doing a show like this is that we get to sort of give people the history and the connectedness that these two cultures share in America. And through that, we give everybody an opportunity to look at how race and bigotry affect everybody in the country.
Yeah, and it's because I lived in New York. I went to Brooklyn College, so I have lots of, and, I hate when people say I have lots of black friends, but I have lots of Jewish friends. We always talk about, we have oi, and, oh, that was Meshuggah, or whatever, and you do the whole thing. I'd heard of the Jewfro, the Hebfro, but I had never I never really talked about Judar that much. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it's funny. We have a part in the show that I get to test Larry's Judar with the audience. And it's actually shocking sometimes how well he does.
Yeah.
He actually got as pinpointed as narrowing down one woman's father being Jewish and not her mother, and she screamed. It was hilarious. It was a great moment.
You have to be careful because I always say when people who are not of a certain culture get too familiar with it, you've got to be careful because I know that there are some people who think they're so familiar with black culture after a while it becomes insulting, and I don't want to do the same thing with Jewish culture as well, but it's good, I think, that you can laugh because you can learn through laughter and you can explore all these terms and explore all these things. And do you think that this is the best way to be able to explore these things, even for other cultures as well?
Exactly, and that's really the crux of why we wrote this show. When we wrote it a few years back, we really felt like there was this big rift that was getting bigger in America, and a lot of it had to do with the dialogue that wasn't happening, not just between blacks and Jews, but about race, culture, religion. Our political discourse isn't necessarily the greatest model for giving us, the common people, the language for having healthy, honest, productive, and respectful discourse. And so we put this show together to give people at least some insight into the things that drive us, the things that get in the way of us really being good to one another. And ultimately, if you're willing to be honest with someone and give them a little bit of rope to maybe make a mistake in the name of understanding, you're really going to get to something significant.
You know, it's funny because, you know, and I applaud people like Jon Stewart and Chelsea Handler and all those people who say, oh, that's really Jewy, right? Because it's the same thing. People go, oh, it's a black thing, right?
Right, exactly.
And I think we've reached a point in our culture where we can do that. What's the biggest thing that you learned from this? Did you have an epiphany or an aha moment when you were doing this?
It's so funny. I have aha moments, you know, during almost every show. Some on stage with my partner Larry, but most in the discussion that we do after the show with our audience. We insist upon that. And it's usually people just sharing their ideas, sharing their insights and feelings about, you know, what they learned and the experiences that they have had that maybe made it harder for them to make connections, or the challenges and brave moments that they had where they really reached out and found a connection.
So listen, what's your partner's name? Who he couldn't be? He's traveling. He's on a plane, right? What's his name?
He's actually in a suitcase right behind me. His name is Larry J. Tisch, and I refuse to let him speak.
Yeah. Well, to you and Larry, I say l'chaim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're a dear boy. We love you. You're a dear boy. You're fantastic.
We're going to get in trouble for this. Two black kids
yes,
sitting
we
here
are.
doing this stuff. But anyway, it's all in good fun. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you.
Thanks, Don.